Hello everyone, and welcome to this month's Connect with Control M. My name is Jose Luna, and I am a Control M Technical Support Analyst serving the Americas region. Our topic today is activating Control M Server Disaster Recovery, where I will show you the architecture of a Control M Server DR and how to switch between your primary and your DR server. Now let's check today's agenda. We'll start describing the general architecture of a Control M Server DR site and how it interacts with your primary environment. Next, I will describe you how we will use the restore host config script in order to switch from the primary to the DR environment and back to the primary again. Okay. I will also mention the requirements for this utility to work properly when switching to your DR site. After that, I will explain you the scenario that we will address during our demo, and then we will continue with the live demo. Then I will reinforce the general steps that we made during the live demo in order to switch to the DR environment. Finally, we will wrap up with a Q&A session where we will go through your questions posted during the webinar. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so in this picture, you can see the architecture. So on the left side, we have our production or primary site, where we have our primary Control M server with its database. This can be either Postgres, Oracle, or Microsoft SQL. On the right side, we have our DR site, where we have the DR Control M server with its DR database too. As we can see here, we are replicating our primary database information to the DR database and vice versa. So in this way, our DR database has the same information than the primary, and in such way, it is ready to be used in case that we need to activate our DR environment. Also, it's important to emphasize that this replication process must be performed using their own database tools. There is no controlling utility or component that will perform this replication task. Okay, and also the implementation and maintenance of this replication task is a responsibility of our database team. Okay, so this is very important to keep in mind. So let's move on. Okay, so in order to switch from our primary to the DR site, we must use the restore host config utility. This is a very useful tool which is available since Control M Server version 9 Fixpack 300 with patch 304. So this utility will allow us to perform different actions. In this case, we will use the -dr primary option, which updates the Control M server database with the hostname of our primary or DR server. So in this way, we are able to start the components properly on each of the servers. Here we can see also the location of this script and the syntax to run it. One important thing to mention here is that the -dr flag will not work when having high availability with either supplied or external Postgres database. But for example, if you have HA with your Oracle or Microsoft SQL, this option will work as expected. This only applies for Postgres. Okay. Well, basically, what the -dr option does behind the scene is to retrieve the host name, host ID, and the host for the agents from the local config.dat file where the script is being executed. And with that information, it will update mainly these tables below and other files too. During the demo, I will show you how these tables look before and after activating our DR Control M server. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so regarding the requirements, it's important to mention that both DR and production hostname must be defined on all the agents or under the authorized server list. So in case of switching to the DR Control M server, the agents can accept submissions from that DR host. Otherwise, agents would not accept any job submission. Furthermore, no jobs will be executed by the agents. Okay, so it's important to make sure that both host names are are defined under the authorized server list for the agents. Also, the configuration on both sides, talking about DR and production, must be the same. So this includes the ports, the installation accounts, the path names, and also both sides, DR and prod, must be running the same version and fixed packet version. This way, when utility is works as expected. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so during our demonstration, we will address the scenario when our primary or production site goes unavailable. So we need to activate our disaster recovery control M server with its DR database. I will show you how to use the restore host config script in order to switch to our DR site. After that, I will show you how to return from the DR server to the primary control M server too. Okay, so now let's continue. So now let's jump into the demo. Okay, so this is our demo environment. So here we have a couple of sessions. One is for the control M server, our primary control M server. And this is the gray one. And also we have another session, the orange one. This is the session for our DR control M server. So what we are going to do during this demonstration is to switch our control M server from the primary to the DR side, so we can continue running our business or in our control M server on the DR side. Okay. Also, in order to do this, well, we need to run that host config utility. Okay. So we will see that all that process in a few minutes. Okay. Okay, so also I want to show you here that in this primary session for our control M server, the primary one, here we are running the control M server process. I will show you this by accessing to the CTM_menu utility. We'll go to option number 1 here, and we will do a check all. As you can see here, the control M server is running, the configuration is running, and also the database. Okay, so this is why this is because we are running control M server now on our primary site. If we check now the information of the process in our DR server, we will see that nothing is running but the database. Okay, so let's do the same. Let's do a check all here. So as you can see here, control M server is not running, and the configuration agent is not running as well. Okay, so the only thing that is running here is the database, because as I mentioned before, we are replicating the information from the primary database to the DR database. So in this way, the information is synchronized in both sides. So whenever we need to switch our DR site, it has the latest status or latest information at that point in order to start the control M server. Okay. Okay, so also I want to show you here a couple of other connections. These are related to the database. So this session is connected to the primary database. So as you can see here, these are the main tables that are being updated when we run the utility, the restore host config utility. So these are the main tables that will be updated, and also another files will be updated in the system. Okay. So as you can see here, well, all these entries related to the host name are still pointing to the primary site. Also, if we go back to our other session, well, this connection is for the DR database. So here we are seeing the same queries for the same main tables. And as you can see here, well, this information is still pointing to the primary server. This is the host name for the primary one. And this is because since we are replicating information, well, the information is the same as the one that we have in the primary. Okay, so when we run the utility, this information must be updated according to the current system. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to our primary. So in order to switch from our primary to the DR side, the first thing that we are going to do is to stop the control M server processes. In a real scenario, well, the idea, or in that scenario, is when for some reason, probably for a network problem or a power outage, the primary side is unavailable. So in that way, well, you need to start your DR side, right? But for this demo purposes, we are going to stop our primary manually, and we are going to do this from the CTN menu, which is this menu, and we are going to select option 1. We are going to do the stop all here. So it will stop the control M server configuration agent, and then it will stop the control M server. Okay. So it will take a few seconds or a minute. Okay, as you can see here, both the control M server and also the configuration agent are down. So we can just run again we are going to quit from here. We are going to use now another utility, the HCTM, in order to check the status of the control M server processes. So as you can see here, we are not getting any output because the control M server is already stopped. We are going to use also the show_CA utility in order to check the status of the configuration agent. So here, not getting any output because again, it's not running. Okay. Now let's move to our DR environment. So, well, as you remember, in this side there is no control M server processes. Okay. So what we are going to do here is to right now we need to run the utility in order to update all the database information and also the files on this DR environment, so we can start the control M server process properly. Okay. So we're going to run now the utilities, the restore host config -DR primary option, which is the one that we need to use in order to update those information related on the DR side. So this control M server can start properly. Okay, so we are going to run it. So he is doing all the necessary updates. I want to show you that at the beginning, when this utility is being executed, as you can see, is retrieving that host from the current system. This is the current host name of the system where we are running this utility, and based on that information, also the host ID is updating all the necessary information in the database and also in some files on this system. Okay. So after doing this, we are able to start the control M server process properly on the DR side. Okay, so at the end you can see that this utility runs successfully. Okay, so now I want to show you what is the status now in the DR database. So as we saw before, these queries were still pointing on the DR database to the host name from our primary side because the information was replicated. Okay, so after we run the utility, we will see that these tables have been also updated according to the current system. In this case, all those entries related to the host name were updated to the DR environment. Okay, so we can also check these two queries. You will see also, for example, those host entries were updated for the DR system. And we'll just check the latest one. We will see the same, that the host name in the database side and also in the files were updated by the utility. Okay, so at this point we are ready to start our control M server processes on the DR environment. So in order to do this, we're going to access the CTN menu utility. We're going to do the start all. Okay, so we'll start. We will start the control M server and also the configuration agent. So at this point, both are already started. So we can just quit from here. We are going to use again our SHCTM utility to check the status of the control M server processes. You can see here the control M server processes are up and running on the system. We will also run the show_CA. And as you can see, the control M server configuration agent is also running. Okay, so at this point, we are running our business, let's say, on our DR side related for the control M server. Okay, so after a time that the primary side was fixed or is available again, we can switch back from the DR side to the primary in order to continue running our business in the primary side as it should be, okay? So in order to do this, we are going to do the same. We are going to stop the processes on the DR, run the utility on the primary in order to update the information, and start the processes on the primary environment, okay? So we are going to start to stopping everything here. We're going to CTM menu. So we're going to select stop all, okay? So we'll stop the configuration agent and then the control M server. It'll take a few seconds, okay? So now they are stopped, okay? So we are just going to quit from here. I will run again this HCTM. So there are no control M server processes. We run the show underscore CA. Okay, so we don't have any configuration agent process as well, okay? So now let's go back to our primary site, okay? So since now this is already fixed and is available again, we can just remember that since we are replicating now the information from the DR to the primary site, in this case, the information that we have right now in the database, in the primary database, is pointing, or it already has entries related to the DR site. So we need to run the utility again, the restore host config utility, in order to update that information in the primary database and also in the files that are related to the primary environment. Okay, so just to remember that the replication process is still going from in this case now from the DR to the primary. Okay, so we are going to run the utility now in order to update all the necessary information. Okay, so we run it. Okay, so as you can see here is doing the updates again. So you can see here at in the first line of this of the execution, we can see the entries of the hosts that are being taken from the current system where the utility is being executed, and based on that information, it will update the files and also the main tables in the database. So you are just going to check again here the information. If we run it, so we will see that also the information is related to the primary environment. Okay, so we can just run this query really quick, and you will see that the information is being updated. Okay, so these are the main tables that are updated, and also some files according to the current system. Okay, so at this point we are ready to start the control M server processes on the primary environment. So we are going to access again to our CWCM menu utility. We are going to start the processes. Okay, start on. So we'll start the control M server and then the configuration agent. Okay, so right now everything is all the control M server processes are running here. So we are going to quit from here. We're going to run again the SHCTM. So we can see that the control M server processes are up and running on the primary environment. Also, we are going to run the show underscore CA, and we will see that the configuration agent is running. So at this point, we are running again our business from the primary environment. Okay. So as you noticed during this demonstration, there is no need to do any manual intervention or any manual update in order to make sure that all the information is being updated. So as soon as you run the restore host config utility, this utility will update all the necessary information in the current system when you are running that utility. So the control M server processes will be are started properly, okay, and having the correct information, okay. So this is all what you need to do. And also this is the end of this demo, but now let's go back to our slide so we can continue with the presentation, okay? So just like a brief recap about what we did in the demo. So we stopped the primary control M server processes. We also verified the data was replicated on the DR side in order to make sure that we have the last status of the data. at the moment of starting the DR environment. We also confirm that our DR control M server was stopped before running the utility, otherwise the utility would not run because the processes are still running. But in general, this is what we did to switch properly to our DR environment and switch back to the primary. Okay, so let's move to our next slide. Okay, so before heading into the Q&A section, I want to provide some other helpful resources related to this utility and DR side. Okay, so the first link will take you to the documentation of this utility where you will find in which other circumstances or scenarios you may use it. As I mentioned before, this utility has another option, but for this demonstration, we only use one of those. Okay. The second link is very useful when you are planning to operate your DR side without interrupting the database replication. So you can find these links also in the attachment section. Okay. Now. Okay, so I really hope you found this information helpful. Thank you very much for taking time to join this webinar.